Alright, time for Brago's power level evaluation. You might be surprised to know that Brago, the way I built him, really isn't that powerful. It's just kind of a mid-range deck on the oft side of the scale of 1 to 10, with 1 being absolute jank, 10 being a combo kill on turn 4. He's probably, I don't know, a 6, 7. He's got good synergy, none of the cards are weak, but it's not a stacks deck. My original build of Brago was a stacks deck. Brago actually started life as Lavinia at the 10th. I saw Lavinia at the 10th and I thought, wow, if I have this as a commander deck and I can blink her each turn, my opponents are going to get locked down and the game should go pretty easy for me. Didn't work very well. Imagine that, 5 casting cost commander that I had to blink each turn, and not too many blink tools at the time. Then Brago was spoiled. That's the man. Brago, I'll get him. And I built Brago stacks. Like I said, I'll do another video later showing the MoxField depictions of the old Brago, because I don't have the deck together anymore, of course. Comparing it to how I built him now. So, let's get on with it. Brago is a 2, 1 blue, 1 white, 2/4 flying spirit. When he hits somebody, I can flicker any number of non-land permanents I control. And I've decided to go, well, I tried to go tribal clones. There really aren't enough clones for it to be truly, properly tribal, but made a good show of it. The problem with it is half the clones, especially the ones that cost about 3 CMC, are only hitting my creatures. They only see my creatures. Which means that, well, I'll just get to it. So, Query Stream, Bitter Protection sets Tiger, Flashy Kitty Cat. When Kitty Cat comes into play, I gain protection for color of my choice till end turn. So, if somebody's doing a massive attack or hitting me with some big burn spell, flash the cat into play, and I have protection from that color. Felwarstone, the theme is what you have, I have. So Felwarstone is a natural choice there for a mana rock. I can produce 1 mana of any color that an opponent's lands can produce. Hopefully they have some blue or white, otherwise I'm just getting colorless out of it. Plains. Stunt Double. So he's flashy, in more ways than one, because he's foil. A 3 and a blue comes into play as a copy of any creature on the battlefield. So this one can see my opponent's creatures and copy them, and I can really get going. And he's got flash, so I can do it at the in response to something, or at the end of their turn. So I've got him ready. And here we go. So he costs 5, and he can only copy my creatures. So unless I have something copying something good my opponents have already on the board, this guy can only copy one of my enabling creatures. I've got a number of them, but nothing really great, nothing truly powerful. So, but the bonus is I can spend 2 blue and bounce it back so I can copy something more interesting. Or just flicker him with the Brago, which is the plan. Dovin Ban. Okay, he's in here really because of the neg 1. So he's 2, 1 blue, 1 white, 3 loyalty. Until your next turn, up to 1 target creature gets neg 3, neg 0, and its activated abilities can't be activated. That can be useful. That can be more useful than I originally expected, because the number of activated abilities people have on their creatures these days. But if I neg 1 him, gain 2 life and draw a card, and I flicker him with Brago, because he's non-land permanent, he will come into play as a new object, and I can gain 2 life and draw a card again. Nice. 1 in Canyons, spend 2 tap, until end turn of a creature's a flash. Talisman of Progress. I like my decks to look different. I've got a lot of duplication, especially like Command Tower, Arcane Signet across my decks. And I like to reduce that feeling of duplication by having different art. And it's neat that they're printing so many different arcane signets. They're printing so many command towers, for example. Now that can get confusing, because somebody used to the old Mirrodin art could see this across the table, not really know what it does or is, because they're keying off the old Mirrodin art. And it can create confusion, all the new art, because we use the art as a shortcut. We use the art as a mental trick to know, not really fully understand, but kind of know what a card is and what it does. And when that gets too overwhelming, it overloads our faculties in an already complex game and can lead to a confusing board state. Well, that said, okay, Rogue's Passage. 4 tap, target creature can't be blocked this turn. This card looked a hell of a lot better when I was ordering it. I don't, now that I have it, I don't like as much that this is so small. I dig it that it's got the map, it's got this stuff, these details to the side, but to me the colored section is too small. I would have liked it to be bigger, but it wasn't that much, and I have it now, so it's good. Makes Brago unblockable so it can smash somebody. I can do some flicker action. Sun Titan. This is the only version of this card I have. All the other ones, and I put Sun Titan in almost every deck with white. In fact, the only decks with white that do not have a Sun Titan are Icarus Siddiqui, because his stats are same power, same toughness, and Sharum, because Sharum does not need him, he's not an artifact. But he's here, of course, to return permanents with CMC 3 or less from a graveyard to the battlefield, be it a land, be it a mana rock, be it a small creature, be it Glasspool Mimic, whatever. And of course when he attacks I can do the same thing. Solemn Simulacrum. Another card. I appreciate that they're doing different art, so I can have a different feel across my my decks. Of course, this looks nothing like the Mirrodin art, which, to be honest, anybody who started playing around M21, in their mind, this will be the Solemn Simulacrum. So when I do play a deck with an old Mirrodin art, they really won't key into it like they will this one, because to their mind, this is what a Solemn Simulacrum looks like. It's kind of funny. Mana Vault. 1 tap, add 3, hit somebody's Brago, flicker it. I can do it again. If it's untapped during my upkeep, take a point of damage. Or I can spend 4 to untap it. Better to flicker it. Stone Cloaker. Comes into play, turn to creature. I should probably just key on the cards that people care about. I shouldn't explain every card, that's not what this is for. So this is a targeted way to flicker my clones. So I can specifically pick different creatures, flicker them at instant speed. Yeah?
Nothing.
Okay.
The music is very quiet.
Well, that's because it's between songs. See? Ah.
Okay, so carry on.
So if I have some clones on board, and I really want to change them quickly in response to an attack, say, I can commit an eerie interlude. What's good is it also saves the creatures from a board wipe. So I can exile any number of them, and they won't come back into play until the beginning of the end step. So the Wave of Damnation, the Wave of Wrath of God, that has resolved and is over. Then the creatures will come back. Myriad of the Sky Ruin, because I have a lot of planes in the deck. I should get this online more or less reliably. Island, Venser Shaper Savant. You see him a lot in my blue decks. You see this art a lot in my blue decks because it's my favorite one. Clone. So this one is unlimited and signed. It can copy any creature on the battlefield. Like I said at the beginning, about half the clones can copy any creature on the battlefield, half of them can only copy my creatures. I have to keep in mind which is which when I start playing them. Momentary blink, way to save a single creature. Of course it has two uses with the flashback. Island. I always say this, I really wish they would complete this cycle. In Mirage they did the cycle of allied fetch lands, let's just call them fetch lands. And they've never revisited the idea and done the enemy color, and I would really like them to. Island ties. Just a way to find more lands. So it will find A planes, and if I controlled fewer lands than an opponent, I can find 2. So I can go get Prairie Stream and Hallowed Fountain, for example. Reflector Mage. Now you're starting to see some of the stacks pieces, because I am playing Brago, and he is what he is. I need ways to slow things down, because the clones are not going to come up very fast. They're not going to copy that many things, because like I keep saying, half of them only copy my stuff. So I need ways of being an Azorius asshole and slowing things down. He's part of the suite of slowing things down. Another slow things down. Counteract spell. Opponent can't play anymore. Sky Cloud expands. Command Tower. Ghostly Flicker. So basically, Eerie. No, this does 2. And instantly returns them. So this will not save a creature from Wrath of God. This just changes them immediately. Thawing Glaciers. Slow. Yeah, slow. I believe I have Walking Atlas in here, so I can play it. Let me just set that aside. Eldritch Displacer, so I can exile a creature and return it to play immediately, but tapped. Or, if somebody's going to attack me with something, I can exile it and it comes back tapped, so it cannot be declared as an attacker. Of course, you have to do this before they declare attackers, and maybe they weren't intending to attack you, but you don't want to take that chance. Phyrexian Metamorph, wild deviation from either of the two established pieces of art, but a clone that can copy any artifact or creature on the battlefield. Any. Spark Double. Only creature or planeswalker I control. But it comes into play bigger. Counterspell on a stick. Hallowed Fountain. So you can see I don't really have that many strong creatures. The deck is not strong. It's consistent. It's reliable. It's fun, but it's not powerful. Livany of the 10th, as I said, Brago started life as Livany of the 10th, and I just love the card. So 5 for a 4/4 Human Soldier, Pro Red, comes into play, detain each non-land permanent my opponents have with CMC 4 or less. All your mana rocks, all your small creatures, all your little equipment, all that. You can't use it. Now, if the creature's already equipped, then I'm sunk, because the creature still has the equipment, as long as it doesn't have an activated ability. Triggered abilities will still trigger, but if they put the equipment on a small creature, it can't attack because it's detained. And I want to flicker her a lot with Brago in order to keep things locked down. Last time I played Brago, I lost pretty quickly because I couldn't get anything interesting online, and that's why all the stacks pieces. Yeah, I love that. This is my first favorite Magic card ever. When I saw this, the Vesuvian Doppelganger, I thought, wow, that is fantastic. That is beautiful. And ever since then, I've loved Quentin Hoover's art. Of course, he can copy any creature on the battlefield, and during my upkeep, she can change. She can copy something else. And keep in mind, if you copy a clone, all of you probably know, for those of you that don't, You don't copy the clone, you copy whatever it's copying. It took me a little while when I first started playing to wrap my head around that idea, because the game was brand new, and I was brand new to it. So a lot of things took some time to wrap my head around. Boots, so Brago can attack immediately. Ghost Way, another way of saving all my creatures from any kind of wrath. Speaking of wrath, here's my Supreme Verdict. Flooded Strand, I just wanted something different. And the fetch land, it doesn't matter what it looks like, because you're just going to crack it and throw it in your graveyard anyway. Nobody's going to spend too much time looking at it, which makes me wonder why the hell I spend all the money on the expensive one. Low Tower, I should be drawing a lot of cards in this deck. You haven't really seen that yet. Treachery. So it comes into play, I tap 5 lands, I control enchanted creature. And I can flicker with Brago. When he connects and hits an opponent, it will come back into play. I can re-enchant the same creature, target a different creature, but in any case, untap 5 lands. Plains, Clever Impersonator, any non-land permanent, anything, artifact, planeswalker, enchantment, doesn't matter. So that's pretty cool. I like that utility. Sword of Light and Shadow. Main reason this is in here is for the Raised Dead. The gain 3 life. Okay, that's cute, that's nice. The 2/2 pro-white, pro-black. Yeah, that's usually pretty damn useful, but really, it's in here for the Raised Dead, and that's why I only have this one sword in here. Duplicant. Of course, if I keep flickering him, I will exile a different creature every turn. Let's try to get through this a little bit faster. Mirror Hall Mimic. Copy any creature on the battlefield, except it's also a spirit, and I can disturb it, and it becomes an enchantment. What does it do? I never disturb it. I always leave it on. Okay, enchant creature. Beginning of my upkeep, create a tokenless copy of enchanted creature. Ooh, okay, maybe I should have read this earlier. Or remembered it. I'm sure I read it, I just forgot what the hell it does, because I never look at the side. Create a token. So that's like Mirror Hall Sergeant. That's kind of cool. Soul Ring, yeah. Teferi's Protection, yeah. So you can see I don't have power in this deck. I have a lot of tricks. I have a little fun things. But unless my opponents are casting creatures that are interesting to copy, and I get the clones that can copy them, I don't really have anything to close out the game. Recruit of the Guard, she comes into play and finds a clone, because their power is always less than 2. Almost always. There's a couple that have some power, like Sakashima. Speaking of Sakashima, here's a student. Copies any creature on the battlefield, except it's also a ninja. Whisper Soul Cloak, because I have to get Brago through somehow in order for him to connect. That's the real trick in this deck, is getting Brago through. I haven't played this yet. I'm taking Brago to tonight. I'm taking Brago to the pub tonight and see how he goes. Curious to see if this works as well as it looks like it does. So everybody votes for 9-land permanent I do not control. And we exile each one with the most votes or tied for the most votes. Interesting. Okay. Terrain Generator. So if I'm drawing a lot of cards, I'm going to be getting lands. And I want ways to get those lands into play. Terrain Generator fits the bill. Counter target activated ability. That's really why she's here. Island. Zori Signet. Edakar Waste. Swords. Spirit and Dull. This is yet another way of getting Brago through. So during my upkeep, I forecast him, 1 and a white. Target creature gains Shadow until end of turn. Nobody plays Shadow. I haven't seen anybody else play any Shadow creatures for a long time in Commander. Of course, if he has the Sword of Light and Shadow, I cannot target him to give him the Shadow. So it can work against me, or I just have to be careful and give the sword to something else. Academy Ruins, yep, give my sword back. Tezzeret the Seeker, yes, you see him a lot. In most of my decks with blue, I have a Tezzeret the Seeker. I probably own, what, 5 copies. So I have him in 5 decks. He's just that good. I really like him. Untap 2 artifacts, or go find an artifact, put it in play. Disallow. A bit of graveyard protection if my graveyard is built up so it's a tempting target. Need a way to protect it. Plains. Island. Plains. Vizier of Many Faces. Copies any creature on the battlefield. Again, you can see the kind of the pattern. Most of them that cost 4 or more copy anything. Most of them that cost 3 or less only copy my stuff. There's a bit of overlap around the 4 mark. 5 with Mercurial Pretender. But in general, that's kind of the split. Mirror Maid copies any artifact or enchantment on the battlefield. Only copies my creature, but I love that art. That's neat. Island. Archaeomancer, return an instant or sorcery to my hand when she enters the battlefield. When I flicker her, of course, I get to do it again. So I can recur a counterspell or a ghostly flicker, for example. Still in her dignitary. If I can keep flickering him, somebody is not going to be attacking me every turn. If I can keep flickering him. Vesuva, this is here just for the theme, the copy theme. So it comes into play as a copy of tapped of whatever land I want. Plains. Plains. Return to dust. Just a bit of control. So yes, this is a holdover from Brago's stacks, as is Lavinia. Enchant permanent, so I can enchant a land. When I flicker with Brago, it leaves play and triggers the ability of enchanted permanent controller, sacrifices it, and then it'll come back into play and I can enchant something else. So this is just a control element. Yes, I know I have some stacks pieces, I have some nasty control elements, but I don't have a lot. I don't have as many as I used to in the old build of Brago. So I still think he's a fair deck, and I would really like everybody's opinion that's watching on whether or not you think I've maintained that, if I've achieved that. That's the God of the Sea. So she's mainly here to give Brago another way to get through, because in playing him the first few times, I realized I need multiple ways of getting him through. If I'm relying on him on a 2/4 creature without any native protection, all my opponent needs is some little 1/1 flyer, a Bird of Paradise, to block him, and I'm not getting my flicker. So I need to get him through. Sakashima, Thousand Faces. Only copies creatures I control, but says a legendary rule doesn't apply to me. Of course, I can't find him as a recruiter because he's a 3/1 natively. Plains. Copy artifact. Just for the copy theme. I don't really need this in here. It's my only copy of copy artifact. I like the card. I've always liked the card. I found less and less utility for it over the years because of things like Sculpting Steel, Phyrexian Metamorph, but I shoved it in here because it fits the theme. Island. Angel of Finality. Yes, anybody playing any kind of graveyard strategy against Brago is not going to like her, especially if I can flicker her regularly and keep exiling somebody's graveyard. Could be nasty, but she's only a 3/4 flyer. I don't have anything really that powerful in the deck, and if I have a powerful creature, it's because my opponent played it. And as Shola Mineri says, or used to say, you brought this on yourself. Arcane Signet. Glasspool Mimic. As I have pointed out a few times, it's got 3 CMC. It can only copy a creature I control. Karmic Guide. 3 white, 2/2, flying, texture black. Comes into play, bring a creature from my graveyard to the battlefield. Any creature. Okay, she's got Echo, which, if I flicker her, it's just going to re-trigger the Echo. So, kind of tricky on how to keep her in place sometimes. Or if I've got Sword and Light Shadow, I don't care, because I can raise her, play her, and get a 2 for 1. Flicker her and get something else too. Pools, like I said, copies. But this is I can change it whenever I want by spending 2 colorless and tapping it to copy any land. Sakashima the Imposter. So he can copy any creature in play, except he's still Sakashima. He's still legendary. And I can spend 4 and bounce him back to my hand. A la Mercurial Pretender. Glacial Fortress, another violation of the art as a shortcut, because it's lesser used art, printed in Ixalan. The M11, I believe it was. I think that art is more common. Okay, Cloud Blazer. She comes into play. I gain 2 life, draw 2 cards. She's just a 2/2 flyer for 5 otherwise, so not too weak, not very powerful. I'm not going to be winning any games with her. But if I can flicker her, so she comes into play, I get 2 life, 2 cards, attack with Brago, connect, flicker her, get 2 life, 2 cards. And try to keep doing that. Heuristic Study. Did you pay the 1? 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 Who paid the 1? Pay the 1. Don't pay the 1. Do not pay the 1. Okay, so yeah, whenever an opponent casts a spell, I may draw a card. I'm going to. Unless they pay 1. And that's it. That's Brago. I don't have Walking Atlas in here as I thought. So Thawing Glaciers is just a slow crawl, drag to get my basic lands out. I could put land tax in here, but with the amount of card draw, I'm probably going to be getting those lands and playing a land each turn. So I'm going to achieve parity with my opponents, if not surpass them in lands pretty quickly, meaning land tax will be shut off pretty fast in this deck. But anyway, that's it. That's Brago. What do you think? So, power level, low. In and of himself, he's not very powerful. And if my opponents are playing anything other than a creature strategy, I'm just like, well, okay, I guess I'll copy, oh, you're what else? Yay. I'll copy your Eternal Witness. I'll copy the little utility creatures you have to pump up your Planeswalker or Storm strategy. Great. Alright, that's it. Let me get this posted and see what y'all think.